Hello, we'll be doing reflex arc right now, and the diagram you see in front of you is a simple reflex arc. Reflex arc is simply this sort of automatic response, like without conscious thinking. So, like um, if you touch, if for example this pin here we see, okay, this pin hits you in your muscle. This is your muscle. Let's assume it to be your hand muscles, okay. So for example, this is the muscles in your hands. It gets stimulated by that pin. So simply it's just that this stimulus will pass through the spinal cord and go to the effector muscle, which will create a response, okay. So this is a simple mechanism. There is a sensory neuron, there is a motor neuron, and then there is relay neuron, and finally we have this motor neuron. So this is the simple mechanism. But then let's get into details so that we can know what exactly happens, okay. So there is a resting potential over here in the sensory neuron, and this pin hits you, okay. So we have this active potential created over here, and the sodium ion starts to flow. This region is dendrites, and they join to form dendron. So we have this dendron over here, okay, and this dendron joins to the axon, and this is a dendrite, okay. We have the axon on the other side, so we have this dendrites forming a dendron, okay, and then this dendron, this one, have a cell body in between, and then we have axon. Now there is this region, this bulge, this sort of a bulge is known as ganglion. We might need to spell that, ganglion, okay. So this is the ganglion, this region, and it's sort of a bulge. It is where this all these cell bodies are accumulated. Then the stimulus goes on to this region over here. Now here it might be confusing a bit if you try to grasp it, but then it's simple actually. It's just that the region over here is the axon region, and we have synaptic knobs at the last here. So the synaptic knobs, together with the synaptic nodes of the motor, I mean, there is this dendrites on the motor neurons which receive the stimulus from the synaptic knobs of the sensory neuron. So we sort of have this synaptic knobs over here, and then there is this region called synapse. Here there is synapse, and then we have this dendrite. So this region is the region over here, okay. We have a synapse here, and that's where these two joins up, and the stimulus moves on. And now one thing more we should know is about the dorsal root and the ventral root. We might be required to label this in our diagrams, in the exams and all that. So the dorsal root is the one that enters, and the ventral, the vent is the exit. Even the vent of the house, for example, is the exit, the place where the air goes out. So here the place where it goes out is the ventral root, and the place where it comes in is the dorsal root. So that's very important. And then we have this white matter and gray matter. White matter is simply the outside, which is also colored. Here the color is confusing. We can see in this other diagram there is gray matter and then white matter, okay. So the gray matter is the inside matter, which really matters, and it is in the gray matter where these two sensory neuron joins. Now we can either have this neurons join, sorry, not sensory neurons. Now here we can have relay neuron, or if the response is needed very fast, we might not have a relay neuron. but it doesn't matter. But if we have the relay neuron, it will be, let's assume we have it for this case, for this particular case, okay? So we will have this relay neuron, and the stimulus from the sensory neuron moves to the relay neuron, and we have this region we said is this one, and these are the dendrites, and they form the dendron, and there is the cell body, and then again outside here from this dendron we have an axon, and again we have a synaptic knobs over here, and these synaptic knobs pour its particle through the synapse to the dendrites of this motor neuron. Now in motor neuron we have dendrites, we don't have a dendron because it's directly connected to a cell body, and that's an adaptation maybe because this cell body is supposed to be inside the center region here. So here we don't have a ganglion, instead we have a cell body inside, rather different than sensory neuron where the cell body is outside. Okay, so we have this cell body receiving the impulse from the relay neuron, which is also called associatory neuron and many other names, and then this motor neuron takes the impulse, and it moves through here through the ventral root as we said, and finally to the effector muscles. So other thing is this receptor and effectors. This is a very important these are very important terminologies, and receptors is simply the region where they receive receptors, and effectors are the region where it is affecting, like for this case when the pin stucks your skin, which is a receptor, the hand will be moved, the hand will get an impulse, and the muscles in the hand which are responsible for moving the hand will create an effect which will remove the hand from there. And then we have this simple diagram which also represents the same case, but then there's just more explanation. Maybe there is this pin, there is this target hitting over here in your muscles, and then there are these sensory neurons over here. These are receptors. This one, they detect that there is something hitting, and there is an impulse created over here. This is the region for dendrites, and then it moves through the dendron, and this is the sensory neuron. It ends in the gray matter, and then it moves to the relay neuron, and finally we have this motor neuron which splits. There is sort of this splitting up over here, so that we can get two muscles working. So the muscles of hamstring and quadriceps both work to remove this leg from here so that this pin does not hit you. Or again, maybe there's an adaptation, like this happens without even you thinking. It can go to the brain, but it will go later on. So this impulse may go to your brain, and you can detect it. Oh my God, there was something that hit me, but then that will be after you have already removed your leg. So that's all about reflex arc. Hope you got it. You can subscribe in my channel, or if you have any question you can comment in the section below. Thank you, and best of luck for everything.